I'm Dorian Kogis, founder of MoxieWolf. I've spent 22 years on compliance research, the regulatory mapping and controls architecture that sits underneath nearly every enterprise GRC program on the market. MoxieWolf is the company I built to redeploy that expertise into something new, a federated compliance intelligence platform that connects regulations, controls, technical implementation, and the workforce that actually does the work. This canvas walks through one decision, not a vision, not a destination, a directional bet I'm making over the next 90 days, modeled the same way Larian Studios reframed their company from B2B to B2C, decisive, dated, and explicit about what gets dropped to make it possible. Let me walk you through the shape of it. This is what I'm carrying forward. 22 years of compliance research, pattern recognition, and architectural work. I've spent that time inside the regulatory mapping problem, figuring out how thousands of overlapping frameworks, controls, and standards actually relate to each other, and how a CISO is supposed to navigate that complexity in practice. The intellectual property is real, it compounds, and it doesn't transfer easily because the depth comes from doing it for 2 decades, not from reading a textbook. MoxieWolf is the vehicle I built to carry that lineage forward into a defensible market position. Federal compliance deep, workforce mapping, the crosswalk between regulation and the people who do the work. That's the position. Now I have to make it pay. In the last 12 months, we shipped 4 products. SAMS, the Security and Audit Management Surface. AssuredBook, the Playbook product. StigViewer, the Federal Compliance Crosswalk that went live this April. And the OpenControls.ai reseller portal. All 4 are real. They work. They have users. But here's the discipline I'm forcing on the canvas. Only one of them is the primary revenue vehicle going forward. StigViewer. Why StigViewer? Because it sits at the intersection of 2 enforcement deadlines that federal contractors can't ignore, CMMC and DCWF. Because it's the only platform that crosswalks DISA Stigs, NIST 800-171, CMMC, DoD 8140, DCWF, and ONET workforce roles in one queryable graph. And because the market is forced by, not nice to have. The other 3 become assets. They keep running, but they don't get founder sales attention. Concentration is part of the bet I'm making. Here's the diagnosis. Top of funnel works. We have Apollo running, we publish content, we have a LinkedIn presence, the inputs are real, and they produce attention. We tested it directly. 1-800 emails sent, around 700 delivered, 4 replies. The channel exists. But the conversion process from that attention to a closed customer, it doesn't exist on paper. There's no documented sales methodology in the company, no qualification framework, no discovery script, no objection handling playbook, nothing repeatable. That gap between attention created and revenue closed is what my Q2 quarterly skills audit named the lid, the strategic constraint that determines the ceiling of every other capability we build. Note what the lid is not. It's not market. The market exists. CMMC enforcement is forcing federal contractors to act. It's not product. StigViewer is live and differentiated. And it's not positioning. The asymmetry is real. Nobody owns federal compliance deep with workforce mapping. The lid is method. And methodology is something a founder either builds personally or pretends to delegate. This is the bet. Modeled the same way Larian Studios reframed their entire company from B2B to B2C. Directional, not a destination. A choice about what changes, not a description of where we end up. For the next 90 days, my role changes shape. I've been a full-stack operator, running architecture, sales, ops, contractor management, all of it, all at once. I'm dropping that. 2 roles remain. The first one is architect. The architect work is the moat. 22 years of compliance research compounding into a role-to-control crosswalk that nobody else on the market has built. DCWF gating decisions, nice ONet schemas, the lexicon refactor. That work stays in my hands because it's the thing that makes StigViewer worth selling in the first place. The second role is the new one, seller, not VP of sales, not delegating sales to someone else. I personally run StigViewer's bottom of funnel for the next 90 days, 20 Apollo sequences, challenger sale plus medic applied to every conversation. The playbook documented as I build it, so it's transferable when I hand it off, not founder tribal knowledge that walks out the door with me. Architect plus seller for 90 days. That's the bet. A real bet has explicit trade-offs. If I can't name what I'm choosing not to do, then I haven't actually made a choice. I've made a wish. So here are the two things I'm explicitly dropping. 1. Tactical operator work. Contractor wrangling, deployment mechanics, day-to-day product execution, the 1,000 small fires every founder gets pulled into. That goes to the team. Michael, Phil, Stephen, and the offshore developer cover it. The architect role stays mine. The tactics don't. 2. Active sales attention on the other 3 products. SAM's Assured Book and the Open Controls reseller portal don't get founder-led sales motion. They become assets. They run. They generate value. But they don't pull on my time. The reason this matters: concentration is what makes running an actual sales methodology possible. You can't run a disciplined motion across 4 products at once and expect to learn anything from the data. 1 product, 1 method, 1 90-day window. The destination this bet serves: 1 number, 1 time frame, 1 qualifier. $100,000 of StigViewer annual recurring revenue by Q4 2026 from organizations we acquire through cold channels. The qualifier is the whole point. Cold channels, not pre-existing relationships, not warm referrals from people who already know me. Cold outbound. That's the proof point that the new motion actually works. Decompose the number 2 ways: 100 paid organizations at roughly $1,000 each, or 20 federal tier organizations at $5,000 each. Either path is fine. The leading indicator, the early signal that tells me by July whether the motion is working, is 5 closed paid customers from cold outbound by the end of June. 5. By June. From cold. That's the first dollar that proves the bet. The execution. 3 dated moves, 90 days. Each one builds the conditions for the next, so the order matters. May 20th, StigViewer formally selected as the primary revenue vehicle in the Moxie Wolf board package. The other 3 products officially reclassified as assets, not active sales surfaces. This isn't a soft preference. It goes in the board minutes. It's how the team allocates attention. It's how I tell myself no when I'm tempted to drift back to the easier-to-build product. End of May. Tactical operator workload fully delegated, contractor wrangling, deployment mechanics, day-to-day product execution, all of it transferred to the team. Architect plus seller become the only 2 founder surfaces I touch. The hard part of this move isn't the delegation. It's resisting the pull to take things back when something gets hard. June 30th. 20 personal Apollo outbound sequences against the StigViewer ideal customer profile. Federal contractors mid-CMMC implementation. Every conversation runs through challenger sale and medic. Every step of the playbook gets documented as I build it. That's the move that closes the lid, not theoretically, empirically. 20 live sequences with real data in my own hand before I hand the methodology to anyone else. 3 months from now, my next mentor check-in won't be about whether the strategy is right. The strategy is right. We've worked it, we've pressure tested it, it's settled. The check-in 3 months from now is going to be about whether the motion is working, whether 5 closed cold outbound customers exist or don't, whether the playbook is documented or not, whether the operator load actually got delegated. Strategy is settled. Execution is the bet.